Welcome to Let's Talk Midlife Crisis. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Tracy. We're your go-to hosts for all things midlife, menopause, and moments of pure mayhem.
Whether you're navigating hot flashes, chasing new passions, or just trying to remember why you walked into a room.
We got you. Every week we bring you tips, real-life stories, and expert advice to help you laugh, learn, and thrive through this wild midlife journey. And we're on WDJY-FM 99.1 every Monday morning at 9 a.m. So to all our ATL listeners, thank you for tuning in.
So grab your favorite drink and settle in for some laughs and insight. You're in good company.
Returning guest, Debbie R. Weiss with us. She is a best-selling author, speaker, coach, and course creator with over 60 years of experience overcoming life's challenges. Welcome back, Debbie.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be back with you girls.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you, and we're excited to talk about your new book. It's called The Sprinkle Effect. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what this is and what drove you to write this book?
Sure. So when I wrote my first book, On Second Thought Maybe I Can, I had to make a conscious decision of, did I want it to be a memoir? Did I want it to be a self-help book? And I was unfamiliar with the different genres and
Right.
what made the difference. So in the end, I decided that it was just going to be a bunch of stories that together created an inspirational journey. No, going back and saying, at the end of a chapter, this is what that taught me. And so then people said, well, wait a second. What have you done since you've turned 50? You didn't tell us. And so that's where the sprinkle effect was born from.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the book, I love the way that you wrote it, how at the end of every chapter, you have some key takeaways. That's really cool because I don't know if anybody else is like this, but when I read, sometimes I have to go back and read it a couple times.
I do too.
Because my mind will start thinking, I'll read something and I'll start kind of dwelling on that and not realize that I'm still reading and not absorbing it. So it was really cool to have that. I wish every book did that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also, you leave a book and then you don't even remember, even if you thought it was great, then I'm, looking at my bookshelf, I'm like, I know I like that, but what was it? So
Right.
At least here you can kind of go back and skim and get the messages.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And you have some really great quotes in there too.
Yes.
There was one that really caught my eye. It says, your mindset is the driving force behind everything you do. It determines how you perceive situations, how you approach challenges, and ultimately how you succeed or fail. That's by Tony Robbins. I really liked that quote. And again, this book really does dive into pretty much mindset, what your mindset is.
Because I have learned, I think that's my biggest lesson. If I had to boil my whole journey down to any one thing, I think it really is all about your mindset and
Absolutely.
how you have the power. We all have the power to change it. And I think I wasn't even aware that I had control over my thoughts or my mindset. I just thought it was what it was.
Right. Or even your feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
If your mindset is not where it should be, it actually controls your feelings throughout the day too. So, I really liked that a lot. And I think that, Tracy and I have talked on other episodes a lot about manifestation. And I think that plays into that a lot too, because what you think about, what you say, what you feel, you're manifesting those things that you want to happen, or how you handle them, or so.
Yeah. And for me, I thought it spoke to me very personally and was very, very relatable to me. And one of my favorite quotes is that you can't control what happens to you. All you can control is how you react to it. And I have taught my children that from a very young age. So that resonated very well with me as well.
Good for you. I wish I had been able to teach my children that from a very young age.
Yeah.
I was unaware. It's so funny when you're thinking about manifestation. looking back, I do often think to myself, up until well, really up until a few years ago, my life was just felt like one thing after another. I wonder to myself, was it because I was manifesting that? Because all I was thinking was negative thoughts and what's next and what's going to happen next and will I ever get out of this loop? And this is the life I was, meant to have. And it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think, a lot of us have been in positions in our life where we do feel like that. Like it's just one thing after another, and it really can weigh you down and affect your mindset in a negative way. And then you just kind of look at everything as like, oh, great, here we go again,
It's hard to get out of it. Yeah, it's very, very hard to change that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you really, I think, put this together very well so that people will understand that, yes, that is hard, but you take baby steps. And there are little things that you can do here, little sprinkles here and there that you can start adding to make that mindset start to change. One of the things that you said, an easy way to start is by thinking of 3 things you're grateful for before getting out of bed in the morning. I love that. I have never done that before, and I'm going to start because I think that will truly set the tone for my day.
And I think I said in the book, joking, not really joking, like sometimes you got to pee so badly, at least I do when I first wake up. It's like, I can't just lay here and think of 3 things.
Right.
So some people do it at night before they fall asleep, because then that's a nice way to drift off to sleep is thinking about all the things that you're grateful for.
Yeah.
For me, I've actually found that writing it is helpful because,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I actually, you know what? Here's a perfect example. I didn't journal. I don't get to journal every day. I wish I could. It's something that I really enjoy. I didn't get to do it this morning for whatever reason. And right before I came on here, I'm like, you know what? I have a little bit of time and I had something on my mind and it actually was about gratitude. And I said, why don't I just open up the journal and start writing?
Right.
And I did.
Wow.
Even though it wasn't my usual time or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and also too, I mean, journals are great, but like you said, you can't always find the time to sit down with it. There's a lot of times where you're waiting for things or, where you just have like little tiny pieces of downtime throughout the day and you can just grab your phone. A lot of my journaling is in my notes on my phone. Because I find, if I'm at the doctor's office waiting to go in, that gives me a few minutes to jot some things down that are on my mind. So whatever's easier, for anybody. I think I've always really pushed that on my kids, that journaling is kind of a release when you're struggling with something, or if there's just memories that you want to remember, years later. It's really helpful, and people don't realize that until they actually start doing it.
Right. For me, I usually come up with these thoughts as I'm laying in bed about to sleep. So I always have a pen and a pad of paper by my bed to write things down. Yeah. Oftentimes I'm in a situation where I can't write something down when you have these thoughts, just like you were saying, you're preparing, to hop on, with us today, and you had all these thoughts. So you took that moment, and I'm grateful for cell phones because, like you said, Ash, I think, it allows you to be able to quickly jot something down or even do a voice memo when you're out and about or, not near a pen and paper to write it down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great way to do it.
You know what? Speaking of smartphones, I have reminders set every morning to remind myself to think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. I have one that says, be grateful. I don't know exactly what it is when money comes in and goes out, that kind of thing. So I have like a couple of reminders that are just scattered, 7:30, 8, whatever.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Pop up. And that is really helpful because the minute sometimes you wake up and you're like, boom, into your day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this stops and reminds me. And then, of course, if I don't check it off, it's still like on my screen irritating me. So I have to look at it. And there are things that don't take a long time. It's
Right.
like just little reminder to switch your mindset a little bit.
Right.
Focus on what you're grateful for and the good things, the money you do have, or,
Right.
whatever it is for you.
Yeah.
Instead of the things you don't have, or that you feel that, that stress or pressure that you need to get done that day.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, the setting reminders, because it takes me to the chapter about discipline. I really like, so what you said in there was to think of the main goal that you're working on at that point in time. And then each day, write down 3 actions that you can do to help you achieve that goal. You talked about daily affirmations, again, kind of like a manifestation type
Right.
thing. Think about other goals that maybe are not your priority, and then create a to-do list. So these are things you can do every day. Like I said, it's not always easy to journal. And so sometimes, we don't have that discipline. And for you, it's setting a reminder but I really liked that piece about goals too, because I've never thought of it that way. Like every day I should be focusing on that and find 3 things I can do to get there. It's always like, eventually I'll achieve that goal.
Yeah. I stole it from a journal that I had gotten a while ago, and I found it so powerful because it's like, well, first it was a little like one goal. I have to just pick one goal.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think we all do really know deep down, like, which is the main one that
Right.
you really want to happen. And then if you think about 3 things, and they don't have to be that big.
Right.
If it's something with your health, and it's like, drink 1 more glass of water today.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever the things are. But when you and I would write them down, or I would write them like on a card or something, and then I would bring them to work with me, and I would tape it to my computer screen.
Yeah.
And so it was always in my face. And that way you just wanted it done. Like, it's this great feeling of being able to say, oh, check.
Right.
I did
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And I did 3 things, it doesn't matter how small they are, that actually moved me forward today. And if we did that every day,
Yes.
it adds up.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, but I have to-do lists everywhere. I have
Yes.
them at my desk. I have them on my phone.
Yes.
Nothing feels better than scratching things off those lists.
100%. I am exactly the same way.
Yep, me
Yes.
too.
Yeah, it's very gratifying.
But see, this is the difference. It's nice when you're scratching off something that is moving you forward, instead
Yes.
of like pick up the dry cleaning.
Right. It's something that you're actually bettering yourself or achieving something that's really important to you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you have to also train your brain, right? Not to focus on the negative, and to focus on the positive, and to, take the time to set up the reminders in your phone or do things. I think that habitually I have patterns that are hard for me to overcome.
Right.
And it's a very conscious effort for me to have to push the negative out and focus on what I'm grateful for. But I'm a big believer in gratitude. And
Yeah.
I try to, and maybe not have 3 specific things every morning before I get out of bed, which I love, love, love that.
Yes.
But just to look at life with all of that, if I'm unhappy with my job, I try not to dwell on it and think, I'm so grateful to have this job.
Yeah.
And just kind of turn it around. But for me, it's a conscious effort to try to retrain my brain to think that way for my own, better and happier self.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I have to say, I don't remember, to be honest, if I wrote about I think I did write about it in The Sprinkle Effect, as opposed to the other book. I didn't believe in this whole gratitude thing. I really thought it was like, what? Say what I'm grateful for. Of course, I'm grateful for my kids and my dog.
Right.
And you know what I mean? And I thought, what is this going to do for me? And a coach of mine, a business coach of mine, actually sent me a gratitude journal as a gift. And I was so annoyed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she sent me this. Like, I appreciate it, but
Right.
now I'm gonna have to use it. And it actually had prompts, and it asked you to fill it in the morning, at night, and at night. And I was okay in the morning, but I had trouble getting to the nighttime part, just kind of fitting it into my routine. And I would write basically the same things, but I tried not to judge myself. And then over time, what I noticed was when I was going through regular life, I started paying attention to like how sunny and beautiful it was outside, or how the leaves moved, blowing in the breeze. And I was like, wait a second, I don't usually notice
Right.
or think about those things. And it was almost like I was looking for new things to put in my
Right.
journal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it forces
did,
you to
it
determine.
created
Yeah.
this awareness that I was unaware.
Right. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's when I was like, oh my gosh, here's just one more thing that I had some kind of opinion on when I really didn't know anything, right? How many times, let's face it, we all do it. Oh, I don't do that. Or that's too woo woo. That's not for me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I don't want to give people the idea that that means, oh, I'm walking around positive and happy and grateful every second. Like, no. But you're able to catch yourself quicker when you're going down that, downward spiral.
Right.
And you're able to notice and say, knock it off.
Yeah.
Right. Get out of the gloom. Yeah.
And it is sometimes the smaller things. And it's funny because when something will happen to me, like my refrigerator goes out, and I'm like, why wasn't I grateful for having a refrigerator? It's like, and until something like that happens, and then I'm like, I'm so grateful to have my refrigerator and my stove and my,
Right.
dishwasher, and just different things that I wouldn't normally
Little things.
think of
Yeah.
to include in my, gratitude thoughts. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, kind of going back to what you were saying about your first book, how you, really figured out how you could turn things around and not be so negative about all these things that are happening around you. I think a lot of us in midlife, we start reflecting and we start thinking about the future more, and it can be very daunting. And you grow up, once you hit adulthood, having this idea of a dream life. And once you hit midlife, it's like, did I accomplish the things that I thought were so important to me? I really liked the chapter where you said to think about, what are the things that would give you your dream life? Rank them by priority. Where are you at with those on a scale of 1 to 10? How far do you have to go to actually get to the 10? And then again, you can incorporate your goals into that, and how can you achieve that? So there's a lot of different pieces to this, I guess, sprinkles, that really make this all happen and just generally change your mood and your outlook on life and everything, like you said.
And I think give me direction. I didn't know, it wasn't like I was someone who said, oh, my whole life I long to be a professional musician, or I don't know. There was nothing. There was nothing in particular that I've been longing for.
Right.
So I didn't, when it was put to me, well, write down your dream day. I'm thinking, I don't know. I never thought about it before.
I can relate 100%.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt stupid, like, wait. And then I realized, well, if you don't even know what that looks like, how are you ever getting there?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know. It's like just, walking around in the dark because you don't see where you're going.
Right. Well, and I think
that really resonated with me.
Yeah, I think also it makes you, because this is what it did for me. It made me think, what was my dream when I was young, in my 20s or 30s? I don't know what my dream was. And so I really started thinking about it and what was really important to me. And one of those was to be what I would consider a good mom, a good parent. And that has always been so important to me. I had a very rough upbringing and love my parents dearly, but could have been a lot different. And I made it my goal in life to have a home that felt safe and they felt comfortable, and I've accomplished that. And that's where the gratitude comes in, you know? So it really forced me to think about those things, reading this book. So if you feel like you're in the dark, all you listeners out there, please pick this book up. It's such an easy read. It's not very long. It's, like I said, she does a great job at describing all of these different sprinkles and what they mean. There's color associations with them.
Very well written.
Yes.
Very well written.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Yes.
It really brought a lot of things to light for me.
And as I mentioned earlier, it struck me personally, right? A lot of things that I think most people can relate to about financial struggles, and how that can weigh on you like a dark cloud, and how it can almost, it can take over, right? Everything. And it's, again, very difficult to push those things out of your mind, and even more difficult to overcome those challenges. But there were so many things that resonated with me.
I'll pick up with the financial thing because, I didn't realize, obviously I knew, when you don't have enough money to pay your bills, you have a problem. But I didn't realize where, that it came from somewhere. I never sat down to think, well, what was it like? What were my parents like with money? What did I learn? What was I taught? And they didn't try to teach me this, right? It's just by your kids watching and observing you. Yeah. And then that made me just take a little more responsibility when you start to understand why you do some of the things that you do. And what I found, especially with money, well, I shouldn't say that, anything. Weight has always been also a big thing. Those are two themes of my life. Right. The minute that I started to just do a little something, I'll never forget, and it was before Facebook Marketplace was like it is, blown up like it is today. And someone introduced it to me, and I was like, well, who's going to want to buy my, whatever? And my friend was like, they will. Just post it. When I sold something for $3, you would have thought it was $3 million. Because it was like I was doing something. I was actually doing something. Was $3 going to make all the difference? No. But if I sell another 3 and another 5, you know what I mean?
It adds up.
It just felt like I was not sticking my head in the sand any longer and complaining, why me? Why did this happen? Why did I have these expenses? Why don't I make enough money? Shut up, Deb, and do something about it. Yeah. Instead of complaining. And the minute that you start to take action, you change your mindset. You feel better. You start to believe, hey, maybe this is possible. Yeah.
And you take back control, I think, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so what I was thinking of before was when you had mentioned about having, a secret, and how letting that secret out and sharing that secret, how, it can change you as well.
Oh, yeah. That definitely is something that would lift a weight off your shoulders.
Huge weight off your shoulders.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I lived with that money secret for such a long time. Aww. The majority of my adult life. Yeah. From the people who know me and love me the most. I didn't tell them. Right. Wow. I didn't tell really anyone.
Well, it's very difficult.
When I was writing my first book, I didn't have that chapter because I hadn't even told them. Yeah. Am I going to share this with the rest of the world? Wow. And then I thought to myself, actually, I think I was meditating once, and I don't remember what exactly the phrase was, but it was basically, I came out of that saying, if you're really wanting to help people, by not sharing your total truth, because when I hear about someone who has similar issues to me, right, that's helpful, because then I feel like, oh, she did it, so why can't I? And so I felt like I wasn't being 100% authentic. Right. And it was a very, very, very hard decision to write that. And even now, when I meet people in my community and they say, I read your books, it's like I feel naked.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
know, I really
Yeah.
feel exposed. Like it's a little bit different if it's someone that I don't really know. That feels
yeah,
great. But
yeah,
then when it's someone I know and now I've just, shared this dirty secret with them that I
Right.
yeah.
was ashamed and embarrassed about.
And you're not alone. You are
Yeah,
not
Oh,
alone.
yeah.
So I think
I
by
know.
sharing that, it helps others, right? Like I said, it resonated very well with me. I've had financial struggles off and on throughout my life, more probably on than off, especially when I was younger, with, being a single mom and all of that. So, and actually, I've filed bankruptcy. I don't even think Ashley knows about that.
No, I
Right?
didn't.
So here I am. I'm,
Yeah.
liberating myself, but
Yeah.
it happens, right?
And you survived.
And I survived, right?
Well,
Yeah.
it's really sad too that there's so much shame around that. Because I think, and this is with a lot of things, but I think that when you finally do expose that, especially to the people that really do care about you and don't judge you, it's such a relief to know that that doesn't affect the way they feel about you or look
Right.
at you, and so to harbor that shame and guilt and embarrassment and all of that is so heavy. And when you finally let it go and realize they don't care, they still love me, it's not as important as I thought it was.
Right. Yeah, as much as
And
it
it's
was weighing you down.
also, I mean, honestly, I think I saved my life by doing it because the stress of it
Yes.
and trying to deal with it on your own and then trying not to let anyone know, it felt like a weight. It was like that heaviness lifted off my chest. It was so incredibly, incredibly freeing, especially because I've always been the kind of person that pretty much shares everything. My mother used to say,
Right.
Debbie, you don't need to tell everyone everything about your life.
Yeah.
But maybe I do. Maybe that was my purpose, right?
Right.
Right. Well, tell our listeners where they can find your latest book, The Sprinkle Effect.
Sure. Well, it's online wherever books are sold, like Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com and all the places. But it's also on my website, which is DebbieRWeiss.com.
Perfect. And we'll put a lot of links in the description of our podcast as well to direct them right to this book as well as your first book. So tell us, Debbie, what's on the horizon for you? What can we look forward to from you?
I'm in a place of indecisiveness. I have felt called to write a book specifically geared towards women who have had a lifelong struggle with weight, like I have.
That would be very relatable for a lot of people. Yeah.
It's the thing I struggle with is it's just taking, but this is what it is. It's taking the same concepts and just really focusing them on your weight issue. And especially because I feel like I know a lot of what that mindset is, how
Right.
it feels. I have that personal connection, and I've always felt like I wish I could talk to my younger self. And my whole life I was looking for the magic answer,
Right.
and I think I found it it's all up here. It's all in my head.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
It's the
so much
magic
for
answer,
sharing
not
it
the
with
food.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for sharing it with us and with everyone, because I know that it has been wonderful for me to relate to a lot of things and use your approach. I'm excited about that moving forward, lifting some of those weights off of myself. And it's always wonderful to have you on our show. Thank you so much. We wish you all the best and a wonderful holiday season for you and your family.
Oh, thank you so much again for having me. It's wonderful, and the same to all of you and to all of you out there listening.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that wraps it up for today. Thanks for joining us on Let's Talk Midlife Crisis. We hope you got some laughs, a little inspiration, and maybe a few new ideas.
If you loved today's episode, hit the subscribe button so you can never miss an episode. And hey, share the love. Send this episode to a friend who could use a good laugh and some midlife wisdom.
Please also connect with us on social media at Let's Talk Midlife Crisis and let us know what's on your mind. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep thriving, keep laughing, and keep embracing every crazy, wonderful minute of this midlife adventure.